Um, I'm going to say this. Well, what motivated me to do martial arts is basically my parents did not want me to do much of much of anything that I wanted to do with my life. My mother was so controlling. I don't talk to my mother anymore. This is the very reason why I don't talk to her. Um, she, when I used to live with her, forced me to go to college. Um, when I told her I wanted to do martial arts, and my whole mission was martial arts, specifically Taekwondo, and I wanted to cross train in other styles, which was the goal, right? Work on my body, get my martial arts training in, and do something with that. Um, she made me go to college. I ended up being the certified and degree pipe fitter, even though I'm smart enough to finish that full degree, read blueprints and do all that other crap. That's not what I wanted to use my intelligence to do. So she forced me to, and you know what? I decided to switch up when I moved out of her house permanently. Um, I'm now over 30 years old. I graduated college at 30. I moved out of her house permanently at 30, and I told myself I am not doing anything that she wanted me to do. I started doing for myself. I started heavily pursuing martial arts. Um, my last job before I retired in 2019 was correctional sergeant. Okay, um, I'm a United States Army combat veteran, certified and degree pipe fitter, former corrections sergeant. I hold two black belts and two styles of blue belt in karate. Currently working on my third black belt. Yes, I'm working on black belt 3 currently. Um, that's where my talent is, and my mother wasted like 20 years of my life. Fortunately, I earned my first black belt at age 28, 2 years before I graduated college, because while she was forcing me to go to school at 28 years old, I was simultaneously doing martial arts at the same time. But you see, she didn't care. She didn't know that the martial arts thing was the threat to her plan, because she didn't care about it. She literally thought I was wasting my time when I was doing it. So since she didn't care about it, she was not going to help me. While she was not going to help me financially at all regarding that matter, I had to use part of my GI Bill when I was in college to pay for both school and the Taekwondo at the same time. That was a stroke of genius. So I got both the degree and that black belt at the same time. It's so I used what was left over, that what should have been in my pocket, and paid for my martial arts training while I was studying, hitting the books. So I said, you know what? Since I have all this free time, since I'm hitting the books, I might as well get my martial arts training in, and it paid off. And then I retired as the correctional sergeant, and I did a lot more than that. I have a lot more money than that, by the way. I'm not going to get into the details of how I have my money. That's not what this video is about. However, I clear well over 5,000 a month. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not married, in a 3-bedroom house, wife, dog, got a whole family, chilling for the rest of my life because I have earned that shit. My mom is quite pissed off because not only she didn't get her way, I changed my destiny back to what it was supposed to be. I stood up for myself and I said, no, this is wrong. You don't get to do this. I get to choose my destiny. I'm in control. And I took complete control of my life and fucking erased her fucking plan, is what I did. Her ass is cooked. So she not only didn't get to make me into the pipe fitter, because I was never interested in that. Like, you could imagine if you took a job that you have the intelligence to do it, but you're not interested in it at all, you're probably going to get fired because you're not going to do the best job possible, because you have zero interest in the subject matter. Zero. The only reason I know that shit is because I was forced to learn that shit. That's the only reason I know it. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to use this knowledge at all. I said, I'm done. I said, and not to mention, people don't understand that I have a photographic memory. I don't think my mother even understands how my memory works because she didn't care to. But I do have a photographic memory. I retain a lot, everything, and I used that to my advantage to turn the tables on my mother. But I said, even though I'm capable of doing damn near almost anything with my life, I'm going to do what I want to do the most with my life, what I'm interested in, not just anything. Because that's how you end up not being happy, is by going into something that you have no interest in at all. What you have one life to live. Why are you gonna waste your life like that? And I wasn't going to waste my life to pursue money like that. Even though, and then, you know what? Now, the people that are go to college and are beginners in what I majored in college, they do not get paid what I get paid. I get paid a lot more than what these people get paid. To have what I have in my pocket, your wage has to be somewhere around, I'm going to say somewhere around 38 an hour. Somewhere around there, to have what I have in my pocket. Okay, it's got to be over 30 an hour to have what I have in my pocket. And people get pissed off when they find out how much money I got. I earned it. I literally had people block me off of Facebook. I literally had people block me off of Facebook for getting paid. I'm like, you didn't do what I did. You did not endure what I endured. That's why you're not getting paid what I get paid. And then you look at what they do, and they're working at a restaurant as a waitress or waiter, or they're working at some minimum wage thing, and I'm like, that's why you're making that, because you haven't done anything. I mean, look what you're doing with your life. What skills do you have outside of this thing that you're doing? And then you ask them, if you got fired today, how much are you going to recover, or are you going to be in trouble? And if they're in trouble, that means they have no skills whatsoever. It means, like, literally they didn't train to do anything except go pass a job interview and get a job. That's literally all they're trained for, is to pass job interviews. And in the grand scheme of things, they're not trained to do shit. So I used to run prison units. Okay, that was my last job, and I did that shit efficiently. Give me a second. Computer, stop. Computer, stop. My Alexa device. The last thing I was saying is, I used to run prison units, and I used to do that by myself efficiently. Like, the whole building, I used to run that shit by myself as the supervisor. In fact, I almost got one of my employees fired. She did get fired for not doing her job, and I cooked her ass for that, because I was in charge that night, and she didn't want to do shit, so I cooked her ass for insubordination. And I covered my own ass, and I made sure my job and her shit was done at the same time, simultaneously. So I did 2 jobs at the same time. Make sure my ass was covered, because I'm the supervisor, was the supervisor. So that's what I used my intelligence for when I used to work, was making sure inmates were safe. But when you do start doing well in life, people tend to get really freaking jealous, and that's why I left everything, all that stuff in the past, and left all that crap alone, and started doing my own thing, because that way I'm not restrained by jealousy. Because if you're working underneath somebody that working under somebody, and they're gonna have their favorites, they're gonna want to promote their favorites, and the person that they don't like is not really going to get much of a chance. They're going to undervalue that person. They're going to put them in positions that they're not going to shine in. They're going to assign them the easy tasks, to make sure that they don't get to show their full capabilities. That's what they attempted to do to me until I almost got a lot of people fired for that. And then I proved myself. And then I got promoted within 12 months too. I mean, I was 12 months from getting hired as an officer. They were forced to pin me sergeant because I had the capabilities and then some. So yeah, they were forced to promote because I pushed that issue. And then the old silly questionnaire when I had the interview for sergeant, I aced that and beat three people out for the job. And then they had no choice but to call me sergeant. That shit was funny. And then all of a sudden now, my former boss got promoted to lieutenant, and then I got promoted to sergeant. So now he was so mad. He was so mad. And then like I went back to the original unit that he worked at to work overtime, and I showed up with sergeant stripes on, and I helped an officer run their unit as a supervisor. I didn't have to go on the floor, but I was in the office directing things and telling them what to do and stuff. And then I had to deal with an unruly inmate that was rude to my officer until I walked out with my sergeant stripes on. And I didn't have to do anything to this inmate. I just had to walk out there with the sergeant stripes on with some confidence and be like, "Hey, inmate, are we supposed to be what are we supposed to be doing today?" And I gave him for some very clear instructions, and he went from disrespecting the officer to doing exactly what I told him to do with no issues because he knew what was coming next. So all it took is somebody in authority to step out there and say something, and all of a sudden now we get compliance. Imagine that. But that's the stuff I used to do, because I knew how to deal. I knew how to talk to those inmates. I knew how to force them to do what I needed them to do, and because I was confident in what I did, so I got every once in a while I get a little mouth, but for the most part they did exactly what I told them to do because I had a lot of confidence in myself, so they listened to me, especially when I got serious. So that's how you need to be. But I don't know what else to tell these people. I'm out of here.